online virtual meeting, and we're at the Hall Farm here. And we're looking at some pastures that we planted last fall. The processes that were involved here, as some of you may remember from the last time we were here, we grew a lot of stumps on this particular property, and we renovated 4 pastures of about 1.5 acres each. And in doing so, we had to go through and grind up about 75 to 90 stumps per pasture. So that was the first bit that we had to go through and do. Then we came in and spread about 1.5 tons of pelletized lime, because we had to spin it on, and we did that before then going through and tilling the soil. And I used the word tilling. This actually used our rotoplane. So this wasn't no seed drill planted. It was, we actually did disturb the top 3 to 4 inches of soil as we went through and worked the ground. And then, of course, we do all of this with our skid steer type equipment that has tracks on it rather than just wheels. And so we have a seeder that we ran around after that, and that's about a 6-foot wide seeder, and is our second go, I guess, at utilizing that. A little tricky in determining a seed rate. They don't tell you how complicated and how much trial and error there is involved in doing that. That was our processes that we went through to establish this. These were planted, I believe, end of September last year, possibly into October, if I remember right. These particular groups of pastures do have some irrigation heads, and we also ended up having to rework all of those systems, so that we've got tires over here filled with gravel, so that the cows don't rub on them too bad, and even then they manage to find a way to do that and disrupt those. And so it's just using a conventional lawn irrigation system, like a commercial irrigation system, but it's not the pod system or a more conventional agricultural watering system. And we're not, we don't provide complete water over all of these areas, but it's the only acreage on our farm that has any water that's being provided outside of what falls from the sky. Okay. So we've got 2 big projects that we plan on doing this next fall, and you're looking at one of them here. This is the main entry into our property, and this is an area where eventually we'd like to locate a house up there on the top of the hill, but we wanted to change the contours in a architectural way, not in a ranchy way, so that's what we've done. We've come in here. If I want a flat spot, I have to make it on my property. So all of you that have flat acreage, don't take that for granted. That's something. Anyway, so this is one of those areas where you can see that mostly natives that have just kind of volunteered. We have thrown out some seed on this, but as you can see, an awful lot of red clay and some mineral stone in that. So not a lot of stuff to really get seeds growing. And then again, those are mostly just the grasses that show up when left to do what nature wants to do, that are on the hillside and that have volunteered in here. And we have thrown some seed at this, but we haven't ever really prepped a bed to go through that. So this is one of 2 sites that we plan on working this fall. And by working, we're going to do a couple of things. One, we've been stockpiling all of our manure. We're going to haul that up to the top of the hill and then transport it down into here and spread it. And then we will till that all in, as well as the adjoining soils, and start building some soil, and then we will seed into that. So that's our plan with regard to it. So wouldn't be any good talking about pastures without talking about my herd. So these are my belted Galloways that all come from a registered herd. They currently are primarily being raised just for the quality of the grass-fed beef. I think there's about 40 animals out there right now. I run the bull with the herd, except for a couple, 2 or 3 months when we try to get all of his attention distracted for a bit while we let all the cows cycle, and then run him back in with that. I do have a couple of reds, but all are duns, but the rest of them are the more traditional, just black and white Oreo cookie cow. So this is these 2 pastures here we did not last fall, but the fall prior. So this is a different mix, which essentially was just orchard grass, I think Kopu 2, I believe, and probably some white clover that was in it. This was our first efforts at trying to establish a seed bed where we took a conventional 3-point disc and we tried to push it around up and down the hill with our multi-terrain loader, and we had some success, but clearly not nearly as robust as some areas. But the reason I wanted to bring this down here was we put a septic tank in here because we're building a little bunkhouse over here. And so we disturbed all the soil, and I had some of Dawn's seed, and I just threw it out here. And I didn't do anything but throw it on the ground after we'd scraped up the dirt that had been piled up and covered the septic tank, and we had a bunch of stuff grow. And this has been grazed once, so from my vantage point, this is pretty strong regrowth compared with what we've had on this. And for those of you that were visiting here last time, this is this exact spot where John Banson looked out across the hillside and said, "Eric, I have one word for you." I said, "Gosh, John, as the oracle, tell me what that one word is." And he said, 10:31, and which is hilariously funny, and took it in all the spirit it was intended. In any event, clearly some woolly vetch. Again, this yellow flower, we really don't know what it is. Plantains, and seemingly more grasses in here. I believe that this is the tall fescue. At least it has a much more serrated edge. And that is one of the things that I'm a little more fortunate in. This herd of belted Galloways really, man, they will eat just about anything, including the heads off of thistles, and they seem to like not only madrone tree leaves, but also the bark. And we've got a couple of trees that they've girded here just this last season, so either they're just really hungry, or and I'm not giving them enough food, or they're just willing to eat a lot of different things. Not sure which one.